Ooh, the lights up here. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to treat it like a date, because a first date. Because, I have butterflies in my stomach, and I've imagined many things going wrong, such as wobbling up the stairs or my mic not working. So far on this date, we're doing well. So, on our first date, we're just going to get the bad stuff out of the way, and then we get to the good stuff. So we're going to start with dreams. There's a quote, cliched, probably overused. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Dreams. 10 years after hearing that quote, it hit me. Dreams are beautiful. Dreams are powerful. And dreams, when they consume the owner, they force upon the dreamer a mandate to bring in the future into the present. So let's talk about dreams on our first date. My first volunteer teaching summer school opportunity was in Abuja 7 years ago in a remote village, Piwe. And I love literature. I love teaching literature. I love stories. I love sharing stories. So it was a 2-week literature summer camp with kids from the village. And one of the days I thought, why not go? I walked into class and I was like, I'm going to leave my curriculum. And I asked the kids, what do you guys want to learn today? And the first answer I got was astronomy. I'm in this remote village, no electricity where I was, and nothing that looked like such things should come out of the mouth of a child. Then it dawned on me, dreams have no jurisdiction. Whether you're in the village or in the city, you can dream, and your dreams are valid. There's a group of people that dream big dreams, weird dreams, wild dreams. They're called children. They dream of flying cars, superpowers. They dream easily. As adults, we've struggled to find a Nigeria where there'll be 24-hour light. But there's a child somewhere that really does believe that tomorrow there can be a Nigeria with 24 hours power. Silly dreams, like my brother, my younger brother, when we were growing up. He read a magic book. I think he must have been 6 or 7. And he really did believe that he could put paper in one ear and it would come out the other ear. So he practiced, and we ended up at hospital. I'm grateful to God that that was the first trick he tried, because if he had tried the one with the saw, I may not be here today. But there's a problem that we all live with. And it's a dream killer, an industrial-sized dream killer. It's in a factory near you. It's called the public education system in Nigeria. Churning out children who can't read or write in primary 6. It's a scary reality. But let me tell you what we're not going to talk about in this session. We're not going to talk about the recent statistics that showed that 25 million Nigerian children might never go to school. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the fact that 25 million if it was a country in West Africa, would be the third largest country, right behind Nigeria and Ghana, and right above Cote d'Ivoire. We're not going to talk about the fact that our labor force is about 76 million, so 25. It's a huge number to have to not be educated. 25 million. We're not going to talk about that. That's in the Committee of Nations, 25 million plus would make you number 50, above North Korea, Australia. We're not going to talk about teacher absenteeism and how you walk into your average class, public school, down your street, and a teacher will most likely be missing, and the children will answer you, say, where's your teacher? He's marking paper. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how our schools don't have water, electricity, yet school is supposed to be a place of enlightenment. We're not going to talk about that. So, on our first date, let's talk about what warms my heart. And it's the fact that I believe that African design and African culture can save the Nigerian education system. So, let's look at what we have now. This is a public school in Utako, LEA, in Abuja, Federal Capital Territory, capital of the giant of Africa. If this was a product, and everything is a product, by the way, everything, you and I, we all sell something. If we're not selling ideas, we're selling something. So just like Apple, that tells you to be different, or Nike, that sells you just do it. Our buildings, our schools, they sell something. What is the brand promise of this classroom? If you were to guess, of this chewed up desk, we believe it sells poverty, hopelessness, neglect. So, we had a grand idea at R2S Africa, the nonprofit that I founded committed to improving the state of public education in Nigeria. We were like, hey, you know what? Africanism, modernism, innovation, they're not mutually exclusive. There is nothing inherent in our culture that is backward. This is an absurdity. So, we're like, what does a modern African classroom look like? So we said, let's ask Google. So we typed it, and we asked Google, and Google showed us classrooms with no chairs or tables, children sitting on the floor, showed us leaking roofs and poor paints. So Google was no help. So we said, okay. We got architect, an environmentalist artist so that everything we use is sustainable, and a couple of us designers and people that actually believe we can make a difference. And we thought of this and we imagined what an African classroom would look like. So we created this 3D render to do in a pilot school in Utako that we had adopted. The beauty of this is there was a difference. Because I'm sure you guys are thinking, hold up. You just mentioned all those mountains of problem. We're not even talking about the curriculum that's outdated. We're not even talking about the fact that in our curriculum we have French, but we don't have French teachers. And we have computer science, and we don't have computers or electricity in most of our schools. And you're going to tell us, like, you're going to put makeover. Is this a face beat? Or, you know, what is this? No. I'm saying design, and African design, can change our education system from attacking the thinking that says this is okay. Because it's the thinking that allows this to sit comfortably in our neighborhoods, in Maitama, Asokoro, and Ikoyi or VI, because schools sit on prime real estate in Nigeria. And it's absurd to have, even from a business perspective, to have a school sit on prime real estate and it looks like this. And private schools are not doing it any better. You know why? Because even their classrooms are devoid of culture. They have become breeding ground to train our children to be America's workforce, UK's workforce, the Middle East's workforce, any place but Nigeria. So when we talk about brain drain, it comes from design, because the classroom, when you say education is important, the average public classroom claps back and said, no, you're a liar. And the private schools, they tell you that everything outside of yourself, everything foreign, is good. So a school, you walk into a private school in Nigeria, and you can't even tell if it's in Turkey or the UK or the US. So I believe that culture, in my experience of traveling across Nigeria doing research, there's a beauty in our culture that's not harnessed. I've walked into homes, poorest of homes, and they've offered me food, because the Nigerian spirit would never walk into a house and they would not ask you, come and join us and eat. No one has been too poor to feed me, not even in deep villages in Benue State or in Gombe or in Bauchi, where when I walk in, if I make the mistake to even say, I really like this masa, when I'm leaving, they will pack a bunch in my boots. We're a given people. This is absurd. It's not normal. It doesn't fit our culture. It doesn't fit the culture that tells in Southwest, where we do praise singing, the drummers at our weddings. Imagine where examination malpractice, I didn't mention that, but it's also one of our mountains of problem. What usually happens, for instance, even on a primary school level, so by the time kids get into secondary school, and if they get into uni, they are definitely lost and gone. At common entrance, what the teacher does to facilitate cheating and copying, he walks out of class so that his students can copy. Why? Because he works in a defeatist environment. He too is not encouraged. And half of his kids can't read or write anyway, and they need to pass. So he walks out of class. But imagine if when he was walking out, there was a quote on the door in Yoruba that says, Ranti omo eni to je, which means remember whose child you are. If he saw that quote on the way out, it's possible he might just turn back and something will sting and say, this isn't right. It's possible that our culture, transferable skills from our culture, this is the act of raising praise singers. Imagine praise singing you into success, like they do with the talking drum. It will be impossible to fail. Or imagine, now you're going to know my real height, but at least I'm real on my first day. Walking into our classrooms in the north, where most of us walk into our homes with no shoes, because most learning is informal, not formal. And we learn with taste, sound, sight, smell. And there's something sacred about walking into a classroom with your bare feet touching the ground. It connotes intimacy, which is why Dutch countries, they do hardwood floors, and children walk in with no shoes. The same thing in Japan. And these are the top education systems in the world. Because why? They have noticed that when you walk into your classroom without shoes, there's a sense of sacredness, there's a sense of seriousness, there's a sense that you can't mess this up. This is already in our culture. But we keep treating things, our education and our culture, like they're mutually exclusive, and they're not. So I'm going to talk about my dreams. Some of them have come true. I dreamt in primary school. I dreamt of singing. I've sang in different university grounds across the UK. I dreamt of dancing. That didn't quite work out. I've also dreamt of writing, and I've been able to write a few articles. I'm hoping to write a book one day. I've dreamt of politics and being Nigeria's first female president. Yes, I said it, Nigeria's first female president. And my dreams are valid. And yours are too. Everyone in this room's dreams are valid. And so is every Nigerian child sitting in a classroom near us that sells them hopelessness, sells them poverty, and creates an economic injustice that makes it impossible to come out of poverty. So for the sake of this great nation, for the sake of our future, the future is not random, it must be designed. Who's reimagining the next 30 years of Nigeria? Otherwise, we'll keep singing the same track hit records that we sang now, that we sang at independence. Bad schools, no teachers, this and that. Who is designing it? Who is thinking about it? Who is reimagining it? We must. And for the sake of this great country, we must stop killing dreams. We must stop creating environments of hopelessness. Nigerian problems need Nigerian solutions. The more problems we have, the more potential problem solvers we have. So, in our classroom, the lampshade was hand-woven baskets. Why? Because most of the kids in our schools, when we did our survey, their parents were market women. So we showed, without writing anything on the board, we showed that a basket of tomatoes can be used for design. We've not taught anything. The teacher became more interactive, more engaging. Did we do teacher training? No. But we created a U pathway that allowed him to walk into the middle of his class, look into the faces of children, and teach better than he's ever taught before. Our children were sleeping by 10 a.m. because the classroom was too hot. When we connected the classroom to electricity, they became more alert. Did we motivate them to be better students? No. The environment did that. So if we love this great country, let's use the beauty of our culture to redesign it and make it not only a giant in Nollywood and in music or in fashion, but let's make it a giant in education, a giant in agriculture, a giant in architecture, and so on and so forth. God bless you and God bless Nigeria.